Ramsey Lewis began playing piano at the age of 4, and over the course of his 50-plus year career, Ramsey has become one of the most successful jazz artists in history, selling millions of albums, including 7 gold records, and playing sold-out shows all around the world. Also a longtime radio host, television presenter, Ramsey is a 3-time Grammy winner, an NEA Jazz Master, and tonight he'll be at Kerner Hall with his quartet, along with pianist Joey Alexander and his trio. And Ramsey Lewis joins us right here in our Jazz FM91 studios. Ramsey, how are you, sir?
I'm great. It's good to be back.
It's great to have you back. Thanks for taking some time with us today. You know, I want to talk a little bit about Chicago, because when people think of Chicago, they think about Oprah, they think about President Obama, and they think of Ramsey Lewis. And I was wondering what about that city that you are so tied to makes it such a special place.
Well, Chicago is special because it has a lot of energy, maybe not as much energy as New York City, but enough. And it's a Midwestern city, so people are more like, let me see what you got, rather than show me. You know, New York is show me. LA is just too many freeways. So, and then the other thing about Chicago, it's a lot of gospel music, a lot of rock and roll, a lot of blues, lots of jazz, Chicago Symphony Orchestra, Joffrey Ballet. I mean, it's just the arts are alive and well in Chicago.
Has there ever been a time in your life where you've thought about being anywhere else but in Chicago?
Yeah, when the guys, some were going to L.A., some were going to New York for whatever reason. A lot of them didn't have a job waiting for them, but they figured this is the thing to do. So I said, yeah, let me take a look at. And so I didn't go, but I just thought about it deeply. And when I got deep enough, something said, stay here, boy.
Have you seen any kind of evolution, especially with the way jazz has been sort of morphing and changing over the years? Has it still got that hotbed in Chicago? Has there been sort of any type of change over the years as far as the jazz community in Chicago?
Well, a lot of the avant-garde groups have moved to New York. Not all of them, because we have a lot of avant-garde groups. But there's a variety of jazz that's still there. And it's a good place because it's a big city, and I think people in the arts, there are neighborhoods that are good neighborhoods that you could live in and not charge an arm, not cost an arm and a leg. And the cost of living is easy. So therefore it gives those of us who want to stay there. And you know, in Chicago supported me back when, like, who's Ramsey Lewis? And playing the corner taverns and such. So as things got better and better, and it seems like throughout my career, each year was better than the last year.
Yeah, it's a good career.
Yeah, and each record sold just a little bit more than the last record until, of course, 1965. And somebody said, you all should buy the in crowd. And didn't they buy the in crowd? So, and I still stayed in Chicago. So even after Local Boy Makes Good, Chicago still supported me. So I love Chicago.
That's when a lot of people would have probably decided to move on when all that success came their way.
Exactly.
I don't know if you care at all about sports, but I'm going to put you on the spot. So the Cubs have already won 51 games. They're up 11 in their division. Are they going to do it this year?
They're going to go all the way for a change.
They're going all the way this year?
Yeah, this year, yeah. For a long time they did, as you know.
I know, 107 years, I think, since the last time they won the World Series.
Exactly. This is the year.
This is the year. You heard it right here. I want to talk about your band and something I read about recently, too. You said, and this is, it's inspiring to hear these words. Life gets better and better, you said. Speaking of your band, we found our niche, our musical niche, as well as friends. We spend an hour and a half on stage. The other 22 hours we're sleeping, eating. We're together at the airport in the dressing room. You need guys you can relate to, have conversations with, tell a few jokes. And this is a group I really love. What a way to spend your life, and what a testament to the people you've surrounded yourself with to play music. Tell me a little bit about these guys that you choose to spend so much of your life with.
Well, Henry Johnson plays guitar, and this is his second time with me. And he's one of the finest guitar players in the world. But also he's a gentleman, and he keeps up with sports and a lot of things, and so we have great conversations. Charles Heath is on drums, and he too is into sports. So all the guys, it seems that we share things other than music. However, we can have some heated conversations about music. But they're all gentlemen, so it makes life easy.
What would be one of those conversations that gets heated?
Sports.
So when it comes to music, do they ever say, "Why is this tune in the set list tonight?" Or
No,
why don't we do that? Or what?
You know, I have this habit that I've had for years and years of sitting in the dressing room, agonizing over what to play tonight, and I make up a set list. And they used to, let me see the set list, or give me a copy of the set list. And sometimes they take it now, sometimes they don't, because I very rarely stick right to it. You know.
So they're going to see the next tune coming, and as the tune finishes, you're going to call another one that's not there?
Yeah, or sometimes I play a couple notes on the piano, and they know by those couple notes, this tune must be next. But you know, I think that's on the stage and that's the music, but it all would not happen unless there's a fifth person in our group that is sitting by me right now that makes life worthwhile. And I think without Jan, who happens to be my wife,
who's here with us,
didn't make up that fifth person, life would be different. So I'm sorry, this is not a family interview. Go right ahead. What's your next question?
Not at all. I think but you're saying how important this component is to your both music and life in general.
Indeed.
I wanted to talk a little bit about Sun Goddess, the album that was sort of the first foray after when you went kind of electric, and an album that was giant back in 1974, produced by Maurice White. And we lost Maurice, who obviously went on then to be a founding member of Earth, Wind and Fire. Was already, I think, Earth, Wind and Fire was happening when he came back to do the Sun Goddess record. We lost Maurice earlier this year. I just wanted to ask your thoughts about Maurice and those times.
Well, Maurice was a very quiet-spoken guy, and to meet him, you wouldn't think that all the energy and the various musical components that make up Earth, Wind and Fire would be in him, because at rehearsal or backstage or wherever, he almost spoke at a whisper, and he was a listener no matter where he was. He liked to learn things. So in my group, to show you the difference between the way he played in my group and the way Earth, Wind and Fire is, when he started playing in my group, fiery drummer, and so when he got a solo, he got almost a standing ovation. And I said, Maurice, you got to stand up and at least bow. And he was so bashful, he didn't want to do that. In fact, he had his cymbals fixed so you could hardly see him behind the cymbals. I said, you got to lower your cymbals a bit.
Hiding.
He was hiding. And then one day at rehearsal, he brought this hand, the kalimba. It's a hand thing. And
percussive instrument?
Yeah, but it had sounds to about 7 or 8 notes on it. I said, you got to use that in your solo. And he said, okay. So he would sit there behind his cymbals, once again trying to hide, and play this thing, the kalimba, and people just went nuts. I said, okay, you got to get up from the drums and walk up we'll put a microphone up like where a singer would be, and you'll stand there so people can see you play this kalimba. And boy, it was like pulling teeth. So finally he said, okay, I'll do it. And he did that. So that was the Maurice White that started out in my group until finally one day he says, Ramsey, I think I'm going to go form my own group. And, a jazz quartet? A jazz quintet? I don't know. And when he told me, no, we're going to do magic and we're going to do pop and rock and R&B and this and that and jazz, and as the story goes, which is true, I told him, you better take a couple aspirin and lay down, because this does not sound like the Maurice that I know, that we couldn't get him to stand up and bow, much less form a group like Earth, Wind and Fire. But didn't he do that? So all of this energy was in Maurice White.
And an interesting energy, too, when you talk about that quietness to be a producer, because that sometimes takes a certain assertive kind of spirit to be in that studio, maybe challenge an artist and sort of maybe guide them, direct them, tell them what to do.
That's true. But he never spoke much over a whisper. Sometimes it was a little over a whisper, even in the studio. I mean, he would turn the mic on if you're out there in the studio playing and he's sitting in the control room. He would turn the mic on, and it was never much more than a whisper, unless, of course, he was singing. And there you are.
I wanted to talk a little bit. I know you've done some shows with Joey Alexander, who's with you tonight, and he's been kind of put at the forefront here, a young phenom who's about 13 years old, who is playing at a very high level. I was wondering what your relationship with him is and what it's like to be out there doing some shows with him.
Well, this is the second show. The first one was in Chicago at the Ravinia Festival. And, he at this point in his life, he's the real deal. He's playing the jazz classics as if he was 35, 40 years old. If you didn't look at the piano, turn your back, you'd figure it was some guy 35, 40, 50 years old playing the piano.
No, that's some endorsement, because I would think that you could probably see through someone who might just be playing at a surface level without having the depth under them. But to hear you say that he has the soul of an old person or an older person or a more seasoned musician.
Well, I think he's been here before. Next.
I'm with Ramsey Lewis, who is taking to the stage at Kerner Hall tonight as part of the 30th anniversary of the TD Toronto Jazz Festival. What can people expect tonight when you're out there with your quartet? I'm guessing from what I've read, there's some tunes that have to be in the set list no matter what. They demand it. How do you feel about that? When you see those tunes that you've been playing for a while, do you still get excited about playing the in-crowd when you see it on the list? Is it?
Yeah. I feel happy about it because after X number of years, it became a hit in 1965. So after a few years, especially the last 15, 20 years, I'm thinking, they're tired of the in-crowd. So I tried a couple shows where I thought I was playing my encore, hadn't played the in-crowd yet, and didn't plan to, and walked off stage, and that was the end of that. And people just kept applauding, and I had to come back on and, of course, play the in-crowd.
Well, it seems when you hear that tune today, and we won't talk about it too much, but it has a freshness, and it sort of had another life. Maybe 4 years ago, it was in the season opener of Mad Men, and then that kind of, I don't know if that came into your world, but that was kind of maybe a second, third, or fourth life for that tune for an entirely new generation. Yeah,
that's true. It's something about the song. The singer, I forgot his name, who recorded it first, that's how I heard it. And that was the early 60s, maybe late 50s. So it's been around for a long time. It has a simple melody, but a nice rhythm. We put our own arrangement to it and our own rhythm. But it's one of those songs where the melody is easy to remember. People remember it. And the rhythm is there, so all you have to do is take your time and don't destroy the piece.
So around that tune and a few others that are very notable, what on any given night, what are the determinations that fill in all those other things? Is it your mood, your spirit, how you're feeling on any given day?
Yeah, I sit in the dressing room and I make up a set list, and it's how I feel that day. And I have to make sure that not only the in-crowd, Wade in the Water, Sun Goddess,
Hang On Sloopy?
And Hang On Sloopy are on there. You saw my set list? Those songs are on there. But I have to make sure that I feature the guys, but then I have to play some things that are comparatively new to the audience that I'm playing before. So they won't say, well, that's the same thing he played when he was here last time, So got to make sure we include that. But then just to keep it interesting for the band, and keep it interesting for us. I have to switch things around and start with this one or don't start with this one, and somewhere in the middle of the show, take this one out and put that one in. And I think it's just preparing me. It gives me quiet time before I go out on the stage. When I was playing classical music, when I was studying classical music, quiet time was important before performance. And about an hour before I play, I just like to be quiet. And just kind of think about what I'm going to do. And when I'm doing that, I make up this list. And now the guys, it's how much we love each other, they come into the dressing room and I can be quiet while they're talking to each other. Or if they see I'm really deep in whatever, they'll be quiet until I look up and start talking, and then we'll just have a good time.
So much unspoken kind of behavior going on as everyone knows each other so well.
Exactly.
You're getting in the zone. That's what you're doing in that hour.
Exactly.
Well, it's a thrill to have you here back at the station. It's a delight to get a chance to speak with you again, and I hope you have an absolutely outstanding gig tonight at Kerner Hall. Thanks for taking some time to speak with us.
It's always good to talk to you and to see you.